Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjala-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamahyam Dadati Svaparantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shivtaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So today we are continuing reading from Bhagavad-gītā as it is from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, the founder-ācārya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Today we are starting chapter 2 of Bhagavad-gītā, which has the title Contents of the Gita Summarized. It's quite a long chapter. It has 72 shlokas. So, and the idea for this chapter is, by the process of Naishkarmya, detached work for the pleasure of the Lord, one can realize the self as an eternal servant of Krishna. So further or later we will explain what does it mean, this statement. And there are also some sections. So shlokas 1 to 9 speak about Arjuna's surrender to Krishna and his begging for guidance. 10 to 30, Krishna's instructions on the immutable spirit soul. Then 31 to 37, Krishna urges Arjuna to perform his kshatriya duty or karmakanda. 38 to 53, better than karmakanda is naishkarmya buddhi yoga, action without fruitive results. And shlokas 54 to 72, by practicing naishkarmya, one develops the qualities of sthita pragya, a person fixed in divine consciousness. So it will be basically the result of this practice of naishkarmya or the detached work. Okay, let's move on to first shloka. Sanjay Vacha tam tata kripaya vishtam ashru purna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. Sanjay Vacha, Sanjay said tam unto Arjuna, tata dus kripaya by compassion, avishtam overwhelmed, ashru purna akula full of tears, ikshanam eyes, vishidantam lamenting, idam this, vakyam words, uvacha said madhusudanaha the killer of Madhu. Translation. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Kṛṣṇa, spoke the following words. Purport. Material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusudana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose the Bhagavad-gītā was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. So, Dhritarashtra would definitely be happy to hear that Arjuna is giving up, that he is depressed, and because of his compassion for the bodies of his kinsmen, his family. But this word Madhusudana means that Krishna will bring him back to the knowledgeable state out of his ignorance, because Krishna is killing the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wants him to kill the demon of his misunderstanding, so he can come back to his original knowledge and continue with his duties. So this is basically why Krishna presented as song the Bhagavad-gīta, to dissipate also our ignorance about our position. Okay. Verse Shloka 2. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupastitam Anarya Jushtam Asvargyam Akirti Karam Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, Kutaha, were from Tva unto you, Kashmalam, dirtiness, Idam, this lamentation, Vishame, in this hour of crisis. Samupastitam, arrived, Anarya, persons who do not know the value of life. Jushtam, practiced by, Asvargyam, which does not lead to higher planets. Akirti, infamy, Karam, the cause of Arjuna or Arjuna. Translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. Purport. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely Brahman, or the impersonal, all-pervasive spirit, Paramatma, or the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11, this conception of the Absolute Truth is explained thus: Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. The Absolute Truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the Absolute Truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the Absolute Truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So here, yes, we are speaking about one name which is, name which is used for Krishna, not only for Krishna, but also for Krishna. And Bhagavan in this sense means the highest realization of the Absolute Truth, because there is impersonal realization, which is called Brahman, which is what most of the religions perceive God in this way. Most, I mean, materialistic religions, that he's impersonal, he doesn't have any form, is just everywhere, basically spread. Then there is Paramatma realization. This is what yogis realized when they are meditating on the super soul in their heart. And the highest realization is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, meaning Krishna or God is person, and this is called Bhagavan. And Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this also. And it is mentioned here that all of them are identical, so we will see in the next paragraph how is it. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, the sun's surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced, and one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the Absolute Truth. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, which is compared to knowledge of the Paramatma feature of the Absolute Truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal features of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Therefore, the Bhaktas, or the Transcendentalists who have realized the Bhagavan feature of the Absolute Truth, are the topmost Transcendentalists. Although all students who are engaged in the study of the Absolute Truth are engaged in the same subject matter, the sunshine, the sun disk, and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from one another, and yet the students of the three different phases are not in the same category. So this is saying basically that we see always the same thing when we see the sun, but we may see it from different angles or different depths of realization, but still we are seeing the same object. Same is with the realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth, that basically when God as a person is very effulgent, and he is residing in his planet, and this effulgence is spreading all over the spiritual world. So first thing which we see, there is another example also, example of the train. If train is coming and at night, and it has light in the front, so we see only light in the beginning. We don't see what it is. It's just some effulgence. Then when it comes closer, we see that it is train. And then when it comes very close, so we can see that there is some driver in the engine, in the first one, also some other passengers. So in this way, same thing when Krishna has his effulgence. First we see only this effulgence, unless he allows us to see more. So it's up to him what he allows or what not. By our own endeavor, only on the material level, we can go up to the Brahman realization, the impersonal realization. So this is what is usually achieved by most of the transcendentalists. And up above that is mostly by mercy of the Lord that he's revealing more. Okay. The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva. The Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. There are many persons who are rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much detached, but no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Kṛṣṇa can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayana, can possess opulences as fully as Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord, or Bhagavan, known as Govinda, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvarak Paramak Kṛṣṇa Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Kṛṣṇa is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person, and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. So here is further explained what does it mean, word Bhagavan. How is it explained by Parashara Muni, who is the father of Vyasadeva? So there are 6 opulences in full in the person who is known as Bhagavan, means all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. So person who has all these opulences in fullness can be addressed as Bhagavan. And only person who has this is Krishna, of course. Sometimes, as I said, other personalities, because they might have these opulences, are also addressed like Bhagavan. I think Lord Shiva or some other, some sages, and those who are very, very powerful and can be addressed, but mostly this designation is for Krishna. In the Bhagavatam also there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Krishna is described as the original Personality of Godhead, from whom many, many incarnations and personalities of God has expanded. Ete chamsha kalapum sa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrarivyakulam Lokam Vridayanti Yuge Yuge. All the lists of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or part of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, the source of both the Super Soul and the impersonal Brahman. So we see here that Krishna has also some expansions, but he is the origin of all of them, all of these incarnations. Or maybe the word avatar is more exact, because avatar means someone who is descending, which is also in Sanskrit like this. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming, and therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the word kutaha, wherefrom. Such impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the Absolute Truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. His act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. So Krishna is surprised that Arjuna is acting as a non-Aryan. Aryan means he knows the meaning of life. What is the meaning of human existence? So this is how basically Vedic civilization was also described. And basically this means civilization. And yes, so Arjuna should know his duties, because he has very elevated origin. His family is also very exalted. So that's why, or how the dynasty at the time. So that's why he should know what is his duty, and he should not give up because of so-called compassion. So Krishna recognized that this compassion is not proper. It's not the compassion for the soul as we read before. It's compassion for the bodies. Yes, and there is comments from Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushana explaining more this topic. So Arjuna is a dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna, just short one. Arjuna is saying, "This is not cowardice. in the form of lack of courage, but rather a judgment arising through consideration of proper action towards those worthy of worship like Bhishma, and an act of compassion towards Ghasyans such as Duryodhana, who will die by the blow of my weapons. And Lord answers, no, this is not correct judgment, nor compassion, but a transitory Kshudram weakness of heart. Therefore give up the weakness and prepare to fight. Utishta. O afflictor of the enemy, Parantapa, do not become the laughing stock of the enemy. So Krishna is not at all tolerant toward Arjuna. There's a comment. Compassion for material thing is non-Aryan quality. Yes. Aryans should be, of course, on spiritual level. They should have spiritual compassion. So, Shloka 3. Yeah, this comment was to the, from Bhagavad-gītā Bhushan was to this Shloka, to Shloka 3. Aryan means spiritual warrior. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, basically, yes, it's spiritual, yeah. Okay, thank you. Klaibyamas magamak parta naitat tvayupapadyate kshudram hridaya dorbalyam tyaktvo tishta parantapa. Klaibyam importance masma do not gamaha take two parta osana pritana never etat this tvayi unto you. Upapadyate is befitting kshudram petty hridaya of the heart dorbalyam weakness tyaktva giving up utishta get up. Paramtapa, or chastiser of the enemies. Translation, O son of Prita, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Purport, Arjuna was addressed as the son of Prita, who happened to be the sister of Krishna's father Vasudeva. Therefore, Arjuna had a blood relationship with Krishna. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmana in name only. Such Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. Therefore, Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhishma and his relatives. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called non-violence should be given up by persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna. Yes, so this is how Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are known by their qualities. This is how all the Varnas are defined, by what they do, not in which family they are born. So if Kshatriya is not acting as a Kshatriya, despite his birth in a Kshatriya family, he is not a Kshatriya. In fact, it's just name. Same like we have example, let's say there is a doctor and he has a son. So if the son doesn't have, his university qualification of a doctor, despite his being born to a doctor, he's not doctor. Nobody would go to such so-called doctor for some treatment. So the same thing with Kshatriyas, if they are, or Brahmanas, if they are not acting according to their qualities, they are They should not be addressed as such. So Krishna, as I mentioned this dialogue before, he's saying is just Kshudram, the weakness of heart, which is Arjuna manifesting. So he should give this up. Okay. So we end here and continue the second part next time. This is a little bit longer, this Ślokas, so I split it into 2 parts. Okay. There are any comments or questions or realizations? Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.